Tonight, courtroom chaos. Ryan Routh found guilty of trying to assassinate President Trump. Moments later, trying to stab himself with a pen in the neck. The jury finding Routh guilty on all counts after he was discovered on a Florida golf course near Trump last year, lying in wait with a rifle. When the guilty verdict was read, Routh started stabbing himself in the neck, the president calling him an evil man. Routh's daughter emotional, chasing the car, carrying her father away after he tried stabbing himself. President Trump's speech at the UN bashing the group and telling world leaders, quote, "Your countries are going to hell." Plus, why the president is suddenly saying he thinks Ukraine can take back all its territory. The major 180 after he said it would have to give up land to Russia and an attempt at peace during a summit with Vladimir Putin. The big bust that could have crippled New York City's cell grid. Federal agents seizing devices they say could have blasted out 30 million texts a minute. The rented apartments lined with servers and SIM cards that could have done so much damage. With Jimmy Kimmel set to return to late night, why millions still won't see him. The guest set to join him for his comeback. And the big question, what will he say? Two jets almost colliding on a runway just feet apart. What went wrong? And why this softball team's 80-year-old player is at the heart of their game. Nightly News starts right now.
This is NBC Nightly News with Tom Yamas.
And good evening. The trial of the man who wanted to kill President Trump came to a dramatic end today inside a Florida courtroom. Moments after a jury found Ryan Routh guilty on all counts related to his attempted assassination of Donald Trump, he tried to stab himself in the neck with a pen. Bailiffs restraining him and rushed him out of the courtroom. Routh's daughter screaming, "Dad, don't hurt yourself." Later seen outside chasing the car, you see it right here, carrying her father away. Routh was found on a Florida golf course last year with this gun, one hole away from then candidate Trump. The president today posting, quote, "This was an evil man with an evil intention." Routh, who represented himself during the trial, now faces life in prison. Aaron Gilchrist was in the courthouse for closing arguments.
Tonight, just after Ryan Routh was convicted of trying to assassinate President Trump at his West Palm Beach golf club, his daughter running beside the car authorities were transporting him in. All after inside court, Routh attempted to stab himself in the neck with a pen. This court sketch showing that moment. NBC News producer Carmen Gonzalez witnessed the chaos in the courtroom.
As the jury was leaving, I looked over to him and I saw him doing this. I thought maybe he was having a seizure, but then I realized he had a pen and he was jabbing at his neck, trying to hurt himself.
Within seconds, she says, U.S. Marshals grabbed Routh and took him away.
And the daughter started saying, "Dad, don't, we love you."
A Florida jury deliberating for just 2 hours before convicting Routh on all 5 counts, including attempted assassination of a major presidential candidate. Prosecutors in closing arguments saying a mountain of evidence showed one thing: Routh wanted Donald Trump dead.
Shots fired, shots fired, shots fired. Individual in the bush with a gun.
Just 2 months after the assassination attempt in Butler, on September 15th last year, a Secret Service agent spotted the barrel of a semi-automatic rifle in the shrubbery outside Trump's golf club.
On the tree line, the individual was inside that tree line.
Authorities say Routh had been lying in wait behind a fence for hours, undetected.
Straight back!
His arrest shown on this police body cam and this image of his gun. In court, Routh represented himself in an often rambling presentation, arguing he did not have the character to kill, saying, "If you don't have the cold heart to make it happen, is that intent?" But prosecutors showed jurors a letter written by Routh where he said, quote, "Dear world, this was an assassination attempt." President Trump reacting tonight.
You can't let things like that happen. Nothing to do with me, but a president or even a person. You can't allow that to happen. And so justice was served.
Aaron joins us now live from the courthouse. And Aaron, the judge and jury saw that stabbing incident today. How could this impact sentencing?
Well, Tom, the judge alone will decide the punishment in this case, and 2 of the charges that Routh was convicted of carry a maximum of life in prison. Tom?
Aaron Gilchrist for us. Aaron, we thank you. Now to President Trump's scathing message to the United Nations and some allies during his speech at the UN, while also signaling a major shift involving the war in Ukraine, now calling on Ukraine to fight and to win. Garrett Hake has the late details.
As President Trump arrived at the UN, the malfunctions piling up. The escalator stopping the moment he and the First Lady stepped on, and the teleprompter failing just as he started to speak.
These are the two things I got from the United Nations, a bad escalator and a bad teleprompter.
All as he delivered a scathing message, arguing the UN has become irrelevant.
What is the purpose of the United Nations?
Saying they've failed to stop global conflicts.
All they seem to do is write a really strongly worded letter and then never follow that letter up. It's empty words, and empty words don't solve war. The only thing that solves war and wars is action.
And sending this warning to leaders in Western Europe.
Illegal aliens are pouring into Europe,
urging them to adopt his crackdown on illegal immigration.
It's time to end the failed experiment of open borders. You have to end it now. See, I can tell you, I'm really good at this stuff. Your countries are going to hell.
But despite his criticism of the UN, the president's own efforts to end wars in Ukraine and in Gaza have largely stalled. But in a sudden shift, after this meeting with Ukraine's President Zelensky,
thanks to our soldiers, we have this possibility, this opportunity.
Tonight, President Trump urging Ukraine to expand the battlefield, after earlier warning they may have to concede territory for peace. Writing, I think Ukraine, with the support of the European Union, is in a position to fight and win all of Ukraine back in its original form.
The other side can fight too, and they've proven that. Maybe it could be that Russia's a paper tiger. Let them get their land back. Yep. So we'll see how it all works out.
Also calling for a strong response after recent Russian incursions.
Mr. President, do you think that NATO countries should shoot down Russian aircraft if they enter their airspace?
Yes, I do.
This praise tonight from President Zelensky.
Big shift. Big shift. This post of Trump is a big shift.
And after key allies, including France and Canada, announced their recognition of a Palestinian state,
Canada recognizes the state of Palestine.
President Trump condemning that move.
The rewards would be too great for Hamas terrorists for their atrocities. Instead of giving in to Hamas's ransom demands, those who want peace should be united with one message: release the hostages now.
Garrett joins us now live in studio. Garrett, let's go back to Ukraine. A huge shift from President Trump there. I know tonight you have some new reporting for our viewers.
Yeah, Tom, right now there's no indication that this shift in tone from the president includes any shift in actual U.S. policy, at least not yet. A senior White House official tells me that the change today was designed to exert maximum public pressure on Russia to return to the negotiating table. The White House will now be closely watching to see how the Kremlin responds, Tom.
All right, Garrett Haig, we thank you for that. Also in New York, federal authorities saying they discovered a plot to potentially cripple cell phone networks in New York City. Here's Kelly O'Donnell with the alarming revelation.
In the shadow of a global gathering of world leaders at the United Nations, tonight a major risk to an essential lifeline disrupted. Federal officials say a cache of electronics they seized with ties to unnamed foreign actors could have crippled cell service in the nation's largest city, jamming 911 calls, impeding emergency services response, and causing massive chaos.
This network had the potential to disable cell phone towers and essentially shut down the cellular network in New York City.
The U.S. Secret Service says a series of recent raids in the New York tri-state area led to the discovery of 100,000 SIM cards and 300 servers, able to overwhelm cell networks by generating mass calls, up to 30 million texts a minute. These photos show some of the electronics discovered in rented apartments within 35 miles of the UN. No arrests have been made.
Early analysis indicates cellular communications between foreign actors and individuals that are known to federal law enforcement.
This investigation began close to the White House, where law enforcement says high-level officials had been swatted this spring. Those anonymous calls that report false threats. Secret Service officials deployed what they call an elite unit that includes cyber experts that led to the discovery of these telecom farms.
And tonight, Kelly joins us outside of the UN. Kelly, what else did investigators find in these raids?
Authorities also recovered illegal weapons, computers, phones, and cocaine, and said they do see connections to organized crime, even cartels, plus that larger concern about foreign government involvement. Tom?
Kelly O'Donnell at the United Nations for us. Kelly, we thank you. Overseas now to a scary incident on a runway. French aviation investigators are looking into a very close call Sunday night when one passenger jet nearly landed on top of another during a rainstorm. Here's Tom Costello.
It happened in Nice, France. Data from Flight Radar 24 shows a Nouvelle Air Airbus A320 arriving from Tunisia at 11:30 p.m., coming into land on the same runway where an EasyJet A320 was preparing to depart. The data shows the Nouvelle airplane passing just 10 to 20 feet above the EasyJet on the runway. Nouvelle Air aborted its approach and went around, landing a few minutes later. EasyJet canceled its flight. One passenger told French TV the pilot was sobbing. It was a bit infectious. Everyone burst into tears. 4 investigators have been assigned to the incident. The French transportation minister posting on X, a collision involving 2 aircraft from Nouvelle Air and EasyJet was narrowly avoided.
If these 2 Airbuses had in fact collided, it could have affected 350 to around 400 people. It would have been extremely serious.
The close call happened on runway 4 right, which was being used for departing flights out of Nice. Runway 4 left should have been used for arriving flights. In a statement, EasyJet tells NBC News the safety and well-being of our customers and crew is EasyJet's highest priority, and in line with procedures, we are fully cooperating with the safety investigation. The big question tonight, were those Nouvelle Air pilots instructed to land on the wrong runway, or does this close call come down to pilot error? Tom?
All right, Tom Costello. And now to the super typhoon taking aim at China. The devastating images coming into the newsroom tonight, tens of millions of people on high alert and already damaging parts of the Philippines and Taiwan. Janice Mackey-Frater is in the region.
The strongest tropical storm on Earth this year is barreling across Asia, thrashing the Philippines with winds over 165 miles per hour, a super typhoon equivalent to a Category 5 hurricane. Heavy rain triggering landslides and flooding. The extent of the damage still unclear. The sheer size of Typhoon Ragasa captured from space, now making its way through the South China Sea toward Hong Kong and southern China, where tens of millions of people are on high alert. The storm center passing south of Taiwan, causing rough seas and deadly flooding. We looked up at the huge waves and thought, is this a tsunami, she says. Experts say typhoons are getting stronger here every year. Hong Kong has been brought to a standstill, with flights canceled and schools closed. Store shelves have been emptied by people stocking up on supplies. With Rakasa expected to make a second landfall in mainland China, authorities here moved to evacuate 400,000 people in Guangdong province alone and urged millions more to stay at home and brace for impact. Janice Mackey-Frater, NBC News, Beijing.
All right, back here at home, former Vice President Kamala Harris speaking out about her 107-day run for president last year in a new book. Her revelations about former President Biden and the big question, will she run again? Here's Hallie Jackson.
As Democrats look to the next election, it's the last one in the spotlight tonight, with Kamala Harris detailing and in some instances relitigating her 107-day presidential campaign last fall.
We just didn't have enough time.
The former vice president reveals then President Biden first raised with her the possibility he might drop out nearly a week before he actually did on July 15th, 2 days after the assassination attempt against Donald Trump in Pennsylvania. Harris says the mantra at the White House, it's Joe and Jill's decision, writing, was it grace or was it recklessness? In retrospect, I think it was recklessness. Now, she herself is accepting some of that blame.
Because I realize that I have and had a certain responsibility that I should have followed through on, which is, and so when I talk about the recklessness, as much as anything, I'm talking about myself.
For her own running mate, Harris ultimately chose Minnesota Governor Tim Walz. But her first choice, she says, Transportation Secretary Pete Buttigieg, who's openly gay. He would have been an ideal partner if I were a straight white man, she writes, but we were already asking a lot of America.
It wasn't about any prejudice on my part, but we had such a short period of time, and the stakes were so high.
Buttigieg responding.
I just believe in giving Americans more credit than that.
The former vice president has not ruled out another run in 2028, saying only that right now it is not her focus. Tom?
All right, Hallie, we thank you. When we come back, this video just in, Jimmy Kimmel spotted making his late-night return to the studio, but the controversy is far from over. Who his first guest will be and why dozens of ABC stations are still refusing to broadcast the show. We'll explain. We're back now with late-night host Jimmy Kimmel set to make his return tonight to TV. But despite ABC's decision, several stations announcing they will keep him off the air for now. We get the very latest from Liz Kreutz.
Tonight, Jimmy Kimmel seen arriving to his Hollywood studio as he prepares for his return to late night.
I'm glad he's back. He deserved it.
It comes nearly a week after Disney pulled Kimmel off the air following pressure from the FCC chairman and conservative outrage over comments he made about Charlie Kirk's alleged shooter.
Hi guys, y'all have tickets?
Outside the taping, Kimmel's supporters celebrating the decision to bring him back.
I'm just so happy for him. Free speech regardless of where you stand politically is important.
But the spokesperson for Charlie Kirk's organization, Turning Point USA, criticizing Disney for caving and calling it their mistake to make. Now, Nexstar announcing it's joining with Sinclair and won't run Jimmy Kimmel Live. Combined, the two television station groups account for nearly 60 ABC stations, which means the program won't be available over broadcast to millions of people, including in Seattle, Nashville, and Washington, D.C. Nexstar is currently seeking approval for a $6 billion merger from FCC Chairman Brendan Carr. Today, Carr applauded the move to preempt Kimmel, writing, "Democrats simply can't stand that local TV stations, for the first time in years, stood up to a national programmer." Hours before tonight's show, Kimmel also returning to social media. "Missing this guy today," he wrote, along with a photo of him with Norman Lear, the producer of boundary-breaking shows like All in the Family and The Jeffersons. Lear was on former President Nixon's enemies list and was known for successfully fighting back against the FCC in the 1970s over a family viewing policy that he saw as censorship.
All right, Liz Kreutz joins us tonight from outside Jimmy Kimmel's studio. Liz, what do we know about tonight's show?
Well, his guests tonight include actor Glenn Powell and also Sarah McLachlan, who pulled out of performing at an ABC event over the weekend in protest of Kimmel's suspension. We still don't know what Kimmel will say during his monologue tonight and if he'll apologize. Tom?
All right, Liz, we thank you. We are back in a moment with the major ruling in the Gilgo Beach serial murder case. Why prosecutors will try 7 murders at once. We're going to explain. All right, we're back now with an update in the Gilgo Beach serial killer case. A New York judge ruled today that the suspect, Rex Heuermann, will face 1 trial for the 7 women he's accused of killing. The judge denying the defense's effort to break up the case into multiple trials. And in New Jersey, a harrowing scene caught on camera. Look at this. It's a home in Toms River catching on fire with people still inside. A neighbor saw the flames, rushed to the front door, shouting for everyone to get outside. Officials say the fire started accidentally. And when we come back, the 80-year-old player hitting it out of the park with an inspiring message to his teammates, the text message that is capturing the hearts of millions. Finally, there's good news tonight for an 80-year-old softball player whose text message to his younger teammates is capturing the hearts of millions online. Here's Camila Bernal with his story.
In many ways, Nelson Bradbury is in a league of his own. He's 80, but instead of counting candles, he's counting on his teammates.
They give me friendship, they give me respect, they give me a reason to keep on moving any given day.
Nelson is the oldest member of an adult softball league team in Newfoundland, Canada. Last week, when he woke up at 2 a.m., the night before a big game, he texted the group, writing, "I really appreciate the way you guys treat me as an equal and not just an old fart," adding, "It's all of you who keep me going and give me the reason to get out of bed in the morning." When his teammates woke up, the messages started pouring in.
He thinks that, he needs us more than we need him. He's probably got it backwards, because we'd probably be lost without him.
Sam Evans, a teammate's wife, then posted it on TikTok, getting millions of views.
To have men speak to other men this way, and an 80-year-old man at that, is just amazing.
proving that in the game of life, playing with kindness always wins.
Nobody can buy what I've got.
Camila Bernal, NBC News.
That's Nightly News for this Tuesday. I'm Tom Llamas. Thanks so much for watching. Tonight and always, we're here for you. Good night. We thank you for watching, and remember, stay updated on breaking news and top stories on the NBC News app or watch live on our YouTube channel.